Hello. I could eat about 1.5 million of these.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Welcome to the It's a Drama podcast.
Daddy, I love him.
My mother thanks you.
If you can't say something nice.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to It's a Drama podcast. I am Liz, founder and creator of It's a Drama travel blog and lifestyle blog. And this is...
Sonny. I'm 18 years old now. I was 17 on the last one.
Oh, you've grown a whole year since the last podcast.
Couple of months, yep.
Yep, it's been a while, but we thought we'd, come back and do another show, back by popular demand.
Can't get rid of us that easily.
No. So, how have you all been? And we have sort of had a winter in New Zealand. The last podcast we did was a few months ago, so we've had a long and it's been a rubbish winter, hasn't it? In New
Yeah,
Zealand?
it's been really windy and rainy. It's really windy today, actually, though.
But it's beautiful blue skies.
Yeah, so I might go down and enjoy the weather later on. Skate. I've got into scootering in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Yep.
So, you want to talk about that then?
No, not really. I do want to say, though, that one of the reasons we are back is because one of my friends, bit of a shout out to Sean, you know who you are, he kind of said, he really missed the podcast, so that's one of the reasons that, we were pushed back into doing it. Not pushed back in, but, pushed back over the edge to do it again.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was lots of other people, but, just one person that I know personally.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sean.
Okay, so we're going to be the most popular... Oh, did I just go really loud then? I was like, okay, so we're going to... The most popular subjects that we've been talking about have been New Zealand. Everyone wants to know about New Zealand, apparently, which is brilliant for us, isn't it? Because that's easy.
It's where we live.
Yeah, and also Couchsurfing and just saving money when you travel and money in general, to be honest, about how to save money and when you're travelling, how we afforded to travel, how you can afford to travel. And we did a show on Couchsurfing, and because I'm so unprepared, I don't know what number that show is, but I'll put it in the show notes and you can go back and listen to it. And we just, we had a lady and she messaged me and she just said, oh, could you just tell us more about that, I don't want to say weirdo, that sounds a bit rude.
Crazy man.
Yeah, from Italy that you went and couchsurf with. And actually he was nice, but... The reason we are going to do that, not to get a cheap laugh or anything like that. It's not like, oh yeah, let's laugh at him. But it isn't that. The reason is so that if you do go couch surfing, you've just got to be prepared that you are going to get,
Crazy people.
not crazy people, but just what's the word? Like eccentric
crazy
people.
people.
Eccentric people.
Yeah, out there people.
Yeah.
People you wouldn't normally meet.
That's right. And that's the beauty of it. And that's why couchsurfing is so fantastic. And so Sonny and I took a little different view on this guy. So just to give us a rough outline, Sonny, just before we start talking about what he did and who he was, just
Shall I say what kind of person he was?
Okay. Well, just that we were in Italy.
Yeah. Okay. So we were in Italy, driving along on a nice Italian highway, and we were always a bit nervous about where you were going to stay whenever you were couch surfing. You have a good saying, my stomach is clenching into knots when we see the destination flag on the sat nav. But we were driving along, just enjoying the Italian heat, and you pulled up TripAdvisor or whatever it was, the couch surfing app, and you started reading the reviews off to us, and the reviews were not that great, and that's how we kind of started to realise maybe it was a bad decision and a bad place that we were going to, because the reviews were like, one of them was, he screamed at me and I felt scared. One of them was, he made me cry. Just loads of stuff like that. So that's kind of how we knew it wasn't going to be the smoothest of couch surfing stays.
But let's just rewind back. And the reason we went to stay with him...
It's to save money.
Well, no, it isn't just to save money, is it? Is
to meet new people.
Yes, thank you, Sonny. To meet new people and, save a little bit of cash.
Yeah.
And no, have you ever tried booking accommodation in Florence for 4 people in the middle of the summer? It is extortionate. And we were desperate to go to Florence. If you've never been to Florence, go. It is absolutely the most gorgeous Italian... Oh, what's that noise?
It's Tessa using the blender.
Oh, she's making a smoothie. Can you hear that, Brian?
Just about.
Oh, that's okay. That's just my daughter making a smoothie. So yeah, it's the most gorgeous Italian city, but extortionate prices for hotels. There's no way we're going to pay that. So there wasn't that many couch surfers in Florence.
It's probably because he was the only one.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't the only one.
The only free one.
No.
Everyone else was booked out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so this is the story of him. So
Can we say his name? Should we call him Romeo?
Okay.
Is that weird?
I know. Let's call him Leonardo.
Okay.
Because that's an Italian name,
Yeah,
isn't
we'll call
it?
him Leo.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's call him Leo.
Old Leo.
Yeah. And we're driving along, and oh no, you just need to rewind, because what made it a little bit weird was about 2 months earlier, I was doing my research and said, okay, there's this guy in Florence, and I messaged him on the app, and I'm like, can we come and stay? We've got 4 kids, family of 4, can we come and stay, please? And he said, the first thing that was a bit weird was, he said, which no other couch surfer has ever done this, go onto this link, it's a Google Docs link, and it will show you the calendar for the whole year, and you will be able to see if there's any available spaces. He said, I can take up to, I think it was 12 people at a time, and you'll see in the brackets how many I've got on that night, and you'll be able to work out if there's any room for you. So I thought, oh, that's a bit weird, because it's like normally it's just yes or no. So I went on the Google Docs, and there it is, this massive big document and he was every single night he is fully booked.
Yeah.
Like he's got a lot of people in there, and because we were like,
Didn't he have like 10,000 guests or something?
Yeah, he had loads. And then, so anyway, to cut a long story short, I found that he had some space. We said, can we stay for 5 days? Did we stay?
3.
3 nights, was it? And he was like, yeah. And then he started emailing me back, didn't he, with all this weird questions.
Yeah, like can we have Tessa's phone number and her email, and
Yeah.
my email and my phone number.
Yeah.
He wanted each one of our individual contact details, maybe so he could check out who we were.
That's fair enough, though, but...
Yeah, and you'd think you get that from, not to be like, stereotypical, but you'd think you'd get that more from somewhere like Japan, where they're everything is inside the box, everything is on all the trains on time and stuff like that. You wouldn't think anyone from Italy would be like that, where they need everything exactly, and they had it exactly planned out with a calendar. But then again, I was just thinking about it, and I just came to the realization that you can take 12 people, and we'll tell you about he had a small apartment. He must have dedicated his whole life to just couch surfing.
Yeah.
Because there's no room for anything else. There was no recreational space.
No.
It was just all couch surfing.
It was, wasn't it? It was like one big hostel, wasn't it? But before we get into telling you about the place,
Yes.
So he wanted to know your ages, and I emailed him back, and I was like, well, they're kids. I mean, you were 16 and 13 at the time, weren't you? And Tess was 13. I was like, well, they're kids. And I don't care. I need to know their emails and their phone numbers. I didn't give him your phone number. I gave him your email. And then he emailed back and said, how tall are they? I thought, that's a bit weird. And I remember Brian saying, my husband saying, oh, you know what, just tell him no. This is just weird. And I said, but by this time I was intrigued, because it's like, he must be doing something right.
This is how people die in horror movies.
No, he must be doing... No.
I'm intrigued. Let's go to the place where he's asking our height so he can measure us up for a skin suit.
So no, I said... Yeah, but it was just interesting. So I thought, oh, why does he want to know that? So, okay, all right. So this is how tall Tessa is. And then after numerous backwards and forwards emails, he turned around and said... Okay, good. She's only, however high she was, 5'3" or whatever, what she was. She will fit in the hobbit hole. And I'm thinking, oh, what's that? So I emailed him back and I said, oh, hi, what's the hobbit hole? And he said, oh, it's a space that couch surfers go in who are shorter. Like, it's ideal for shorter people or children. And
didn't he say cozy? Pretty sure he used the word cozy.
Yeah, he said cozy and warm and... small is basically what he said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so we had this vision in our head. I remember telling you, and we had this vision in our head. I was, what's What's that StoryCorps where like the little mole who lives under the ground and he goes and you go and visit him and he's got like all candles.
Yeah,
Do you
I remember that. It was like an old story about where they're in the wet weather and they go inside this hole
I
and
can't
he's got
remember what
like
it's.
lovely hams hanging in the thing and
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, you were just expecting a little cubby like full of
yeah.
warm blankets and
Yeah.
little light and well, that's not what we got, was it?
No.
Really? So should we get on to the story?
Go on then.
So we've dragged it out long enough. We've dragged that for a while. So what happened was, do you want to tell it or shall
No,
I?
you tell.
So we pulled up to well, firstly, you've got to use the Carl Pilkington. I don't know if anyone knows who that is. He's a British comedian. His thing about how you're going to a rough side of town when you've driven past all the nice hotels because you think, oh, it's only going to get worse from here. And we were driven past all the nice houses where you think, oh, maybe that would be it. And you were expecting like a big old house, maybe even that would have been, not too bad. A big old house.
Italian villa.
Yeah. And we turned up, and it was like, I don't know if you've ever been to like Soviet Russia, but it was just grey apartment blocks. And we turned up, parked our car there, and we saw like two backpackers walking down the road towards us. And where are they from? Like Croatia, Brazil or something. Yeah. Yeah. And they were from Brazil, and they said, "Oh, I'm not going to do a Brazil accent," but they said, "Oh, are you from Couchsurfing?" And we were like, "Yeah, we are." And they said, "Are you here to see Leonardo?" And we were like, yep, we are. And we were looking around, we couldn't see anyone on the street. And then we just, shall I do his voice?
Yeah.
And then we just heard, hang on, take a sip of my tea. So from above we heard, "Are you Liz?" And we looked up and we're like, where's this coming from? And we looked up and 4 stories high, there was a little red balcony and he was looking over with no shirt on. His hair was like out 2 meters to the side. He looked like Albert Einstein, like an Italian Albert Einstein. And he looked over and he went, "Are you Liz?" And we looked up and we were like, oh God. And you went, "Yep, that's me." And he went, "Come up." So then he buzzed the door open for us and we walked up like 4 flights of steps and it just smelled like funny and of like body odor. And we got to the top floor and he opened the door for us and straight away you could smell it. Like it's not even like a smell, it's like the Leonardo smell. It was just
I can't believe he didn't have a shirt on.
yeah, it was weird. But
Why
it was
didn't he
like
put his
40
shirt
degrees,
on?
wasn't it?
So? He never put a shirt on the whole time we were there.
His grey chest hair.
Yeah.
Floating in the breeze. But yeah, no. So then he opened the door for us and it was just the first thing you see is the floor. The floor is like filthy. It was just like I don't even just dirt, every type of dirt imaginable. Like I don't know how you get that much dirt up in 4 stories high into the air. But there was a lot of dirt. And just a lot of stuff like old TVs and boxes.
Yeah.
And
He was a hoarder, wasn't he?
He could have cleared everything out and fit 24 people. Could have doubled the amount of space. So yeah, he welcomes us in and we were all a bit nervous and it's hard to explain. Like he was a little short man and he was just quite scary. And he led us through the door and he said to me, I think he said, wasn't he like, "Who's Sonny?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm Sonny." And he went, "This is your room." And it was like behind like little hospital screens. Like, I don't know, those like hospital screen things that you have. And he just pulled it apart and it was like in a corner of like the hall, just screened off. It looked so temporary. And it was just like an army mattress just there with like a little pillow on it and it was just cobwebs hanging from the... Oh, it was horrible. And then he said... He showed the other people to their room. And theirs wasn't that bad. Theirs was quite a big room with like a couple of beds in there. And, oh yeah, another thing to mention was he had all the windows open.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
And he said...
It was boiling. It's the middle of summer.
But he said, you'll have... What did he say? You'll have to get used to the mosquitoes. He said, "I hope you bought lots of cream." And then he led us into the other room, and it was where your room was, and it was just a big, like, double bed. But it was weird because it was like the bed was square. You almost didn't know which orientation you were supposed to lay on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just had a big fly screen over the top of it. Loads of just computers piled all the way up the wall. And it was just that weird, like, red light that a lot of rooms in Italy had for some reason. And it was just like, you could just see Tessa sweating mentally.
Yeah.
And
She hadn't been shown her room
she was
yet.
just like, "Where is the hobbit hole?" And and he went, you Tessa. And she went, yeah. He went, "Come with me." And then he led her out onto the balcony, and it was just this little, what was it, like a little plant box, little rabbit hutch with plants on top, like literally a rabbit hutch.
Yep, it was a rabbit hutch.
With plants on top of it.
Yep.
And he opened a little door. It was freaky. It was a little door with a little curtain across the window.
Yeah.
And he opened it and flicked the light on inside. And it was just like blankets inside this rabbit hutch. And I was like, that's not that bad. And then I looked up at the ceiling inside, and it was just dirt falling off from the plants that had been put on top of it, and just spider webs. And it was just like, I wouldn't even think what was inside those little blankets.
Well, we just stood there, didn't we? And Tessa's face, I've never in my life seen someone look so
horrified,
mortified.
Disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. She just looked at him as if like, is this a joke?
Well, I thought it was a joke.
I know, so did I. And then
he said, "I've slept in there myself many times.
yeah,
It's comfy."
So that sort of made it even worse, didn't it? Oh, and of course, like I was like, she was whispering to me like, "Can we just go?
Yeah.
Can we just
and
go?"
And you were whispering, "Can we just go? Should we just go?"
No, I didn't.
Yes, you were.
No way. I didn't say, "Should we just go?"
I think you did, and it was Soundman in the corner there that was like, "Oh no, I think it's going to be interesting. Let's just wait it out."
Well, maybe I did say let's just go because I had Tessa there going, and I was thinking, where's she going? Where am I going to put her? Because that bed of mine wasn't that big anyway. I just said to her, look, you can just come in with us.
Yeah.
And the thing is, normally, and I don't want people thinking, "Oh, you ungrateful little sod," at least he was putting you up.
You had to be there.
I've got to say one thing as well. He was charging $10 per person. 10 euros per euro.
Yeah.
10 euro a person. So I don't really feel that bad because €40. No, was it a night, Bri? Or was it like €10? I can't remember. So anyway, he had a rule that you had to pay. This is his rule. You weren't allowed to stay just one night. You had to stay 2.
Yeah.
The first night he cooked for you, which was great. That was one of the attractions.
It wasn't that great, was it?
No, but I thought, because, an Italian man cooking for us and, we're going to get some authentic Italian food, which we did.
You did get authentic Italian food, but you had to eat off the tablecloth that was literally caked with weeks old of authentic Italian food.
Yeah, I know.
Like some dry, crumbly Italian food with your Italian food.
Yeah, but so I don't feel too bad because it wasn't like, we've stayed with people who have had nothing, and you always take food to them, don't you? But he was quite strict. He was like, this is going to cost you €10.
Yeah.
You've got to stay for dinner with him, and then the next night we had to cook.
You had to tell him if you weren't going to be there for dinner.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. That's just manners, isn't it?
It is, but
But do you remember the first night? So his kitchen, I've never in my life, even when I've seen those reality show TV things, seen anything like that kitchen.
It was dirty.
It was, oh gosh.
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
It wasn't as bad as the bathroom.
Do you know what? Tess she is such a prude, that girl. And that is the first time in all travelling around the world. I mean, literally, she won't even take her top off in front of me. She's like, "Can you turn away, please? I'm getting changed." She's like that, isn't she? And she just took my hand and she said, "Please come to the toilet with me." I had to go in the toilet with her.
Was that because she was scared of
She
Leonardo?
was terrified. Well, I think she was just terrified.
Or spiders and stuff?
No, I think she was just... I've never
Just
seen a
scared.
girl so scared in all my life. And she
Character
slept in with
building.
us, didn't she? And, she never, ever left our side. But just quickly, we'll finish this up now, and hopefully that's given you an impression of... But just quickly tell what happened about the meal, with the alcohol and all that. That was...
Oh, yeah. So we cooked our dinner and stuff, and... he cooked our dinner for us, and it was all right, but he was like... He'd assigned pieces of chicken for people, and Tessa didn't eat her chicken.
I know.
And
it was rabbit,
was
actually.
it rabbit?
Yeah, it was rabbit.
It was
yeah.
rabbit, probably from the hutch. Cleared out the rabbit hutch.
In your goal.
Come on, bunny. Someone's coming to stay in your home. Yeah, no. So they took the rabbit. He took the rabbit, and he designed little pieces. And I ate my leg, and I was just like, oh. And he was like, yeah, oh, you like that? And I was like, yeah, no, it's nice. And he went, you're a growing boy. And he's gone Indian now. You're a growing boy. He's like, you're a growing boy. And I went, yes. And he said, and then there was another piece of rabbit that Tessa hadn't eaten. And he went, so who is going to have the last piece of rabbit? And he was looking at us like we all were gagging for it. And then you were like, oh, you have it, Sonny, you eat it. So then I had to eat it.
And so, go on.
Yeah, and then the alcohol thing.
Yeah.
So then he came out with, he was like, so how did he say? He was like,
he said,
so
what's your
favourite colour?
Yeah.
And it was like, that's a bit weird question. And like, oh, he's going to bring out different flavours of ice cream, but it wasn't. And I was like, oh, green. And you were like, oh, blue. And you were like, oh, purple.
Yeah.
And Tess was like, pink. And then he brought out his own alcohol that he had made. Different colours of it. And he had all the colours.
Yeah.
And it was like chili alcohol, wasn't it? Chili vodka.
Yeah.
Something he'd left chilies sitting in vodka for 40 days. And I'm not joking. If like a drop touched your tongue, it was like a nuclear bomb going off in your mouth.
Foul.
It was just like, foul. Wow. It was just like...
I think he did that to test us. I think he was his little bit of, like, almost like a test to see...
It's just a horror movie, isn't it? You cook them dinner and then you give them spiked drinks. Yeah. And then cut them up in the basement.
Tell them what you said about your breakfast, the breakfast option.
So...
we got breakfast, didn't we?
Yeah.
€10 included breakfast.
Yeah, which was like, well, we'll tell you about that now. So he came out of the kitchen and I was just woken up and he was like, what do you want for breakfast? And I went, well, what is there? And he went, there are a few options. And then okay, here we go. This is the rehearsed speech. And he went, option number 1, cookies with no coffee or tea. And then was it milk?
No, just coffee.
It was. And then they went, option number 2. No, sorry, I'll do it again. Sorry. So it was option number 1, cookies with coffee. Option number 2, cookies with no coffee. Option number 3, cookies with tea. Option number 4, cookies with no tea. And that's literally what it was. And then he went around every person and asked that exact thing. And it was just a big...
So what was your option? What did you say?
I had option number 1. Cookies with coffee.
And what happened the next morning when you decided, after you'd had your cookie?
Yeah.
And what did you do, little greedy boy? What happened?
I didn't know, get some tea or something.
You went and reached in the tin to take another cookie. And what happened?
He probably shouted at me, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He went bloody mad.
Yeah, and said I haven't got enough cookies.
Yeah, he said, you've had your cookie. Yeah. And the other thing he did as well is after we'd finished our dinner, literally, we'd put the last morsel in our mouth. Yeah. And he said, okay, payment time.
Yeah, and he went, and now for the part that nobody likes.
Yeah, payment. And we had to go and into our rooms and get the money. So that is the story of Leonardo. Yeah. But the reason...
You really had to be there, though.
You did have to be there. But the fact is, the reason we told it is just... It takes all sorts, Sonny. And I'm so glad we stayed.
I can't even believe we were there, to be honest. Like, it seems so weird now thinking back about it, you know?
I know. But what a fantastic experience.
Yeah, what a scary, fantastic experience.
No, would you go back?
No.
Really?
No.
I would.
Maybe with a camera crew.
Well, anyway, I don't want that to put you off Couchsurfing because Couchsurfing is the best. And but you do meet characters, and Leonardo was one of those characters. And personally, I think it doesn't do you any harm to sleep in a rabbit hutch every now and again.
No.
You know, and
then eat the rabbit that was living in the hutch.
Exactly.
I was going to say, what could we call our little show? I was going to say, we'll call it Below the Streets of Florence or something creepy. But then, no, it was in the apartment, so it would have been Above the Streets of Florence.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's wrap it up and leave it there. Have you got anything else to say?
Leo, if you listen to this,
Sonny,
I don't know, just
thank you.
Thank you. Don't find me and kill me.
And I've got something. Leah, if you listen to this, thank you, because the fact is, you gave us a great time in Florence, and we've always had something to talk about at dinner, and it's been a great conversation starter.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks so much for listening, and we'll hope to catch you next time on the It's a Drama podcast. Hopefully we'll stick around for a bit longer and not break off for a winter
Yeah.
break.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Because the sun's here now, the sun's shining through.
Summer is coming.
Yeah, it is. So thanks very much for listening, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, leave us a 5-star review if you feel like we deserved it. If not, then you're a better person. And yeah, catch you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on the podcast. We have loved having you here.
If you guys could subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review,
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
that would be absolutely amazing. And make sure to share the podcast with your friends.
And if you'd like to hop over to the blog, find one of the little boxes that ask you to drop your email. I will send you a newsletter every week letting you know when we've released our new podcast. That will go
that'll be nice.
straight into your inbox. So it's www.itsadrama.com.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next week for another podcast.
Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.